what's up? This is Odulena from Odulena Digital, and today's episode is devoted to International Women's Day, 15 richest women in the world and how they made their fortunes. Welcome to my channel, and be sure to subscribe. Every Sunday I come with a new video which I devote to success stories, books that I'm reading, interesting courses, education, as well as Google Ads advertising. I work for Google, but everything that I share here is my personal project and personal opinion. Today's topic is 15 richest women in the world. And on this topic, I have taken only ladies that have made their fortunes as founders or co-founders of their own businesses. So I'm not including any rich heiresses. Actually, the richest woman at the moment is Mackensie Bezos, the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. She's worth $37.3 billion. However, she's not on the list. Getting this list together took me a lot of effort, as I took a lot of lists from Forbes, from Business Insider, as there is no one place where you can get women from all over the world. So I tried to include as many international examples as possible, but the list is predominantly US and China ladies. If you know any super successful rich women from other countries which I have missed out from this, please comment below and let me know. It'd be very interesting for me to find out. Number 15 is a lady called Linda Resnick. She's American. She is worth $2.4 billion and at the moment in her 70s. So she started her career in business in 19. She dropped out of school. She was actually a child actress, and her father was a Hollywood producer. She's coming from an American Jewish family. And she started her own advertising business at 19. And actually, she became most successful later in life when, with her second husband in the 70s, they went into the food business. So she owns a company called The Wonderful Company, which might not speak to you much, but this is the company standing behind products like Fiji water and palm juice, a lot of pistachios, almonds. They actually started with a farm of almonds and pistachios in California, which they bought for around $13,000. Next on the list is Marianne llitch. Marianne llitch is Macedonian descendant, so she's coming from Macedonian family, which is a small country in the Balkans. I also have Macedonian relatives, so I'm really excited to see someone from this country. She and her husband Mike llitch, who's also Macedonian, both of them children of immigrants, second generation immigrants in the United States. They founded a company which actually diversified at the moment, but their main business is called Little Caesars. So this is pizza delivery or franchises of pizza. So similar to McDonald's, I would say, but they have a lot of different things, including at the moment Mike llitch has deceased and she's in her 80s. But at the moment the company still, they own some American football teams, a bunch of casinos, a lot of different businesses. Next on the list is Jonelle Hunt. She is a co-founder with her husband of the J.B. Hunt Company, another American company founded in the 1960s. Again, like we see like a whole wave of very rich ladies who started their companies with their husbands in the 1960s and now worth billions. She is worth $2.5 billion, also in her 80s right now. Their company is logistics, so they own about 11,000 trucks all around the United States. Next one on the list is a Chinese lady called Zhang Xin. So she is in her 50s, a bit younger, and real estate. So she's founder of a company called Soho China, which is the biggest prime office real estate company. She has a very interesting story, and you can see actually how these stories of these women actually reflect to role models in these countries. Whereas you see in the United States, it's mostly women that were kind of wed to entrepreneurial husbands, or they were entrepreneurs themselves, but it was a family effort, a lot about the family. In China, we see a lot of ladies that actually came through studies and studying abroad out of China, and then they came back again also with their husbands. Most of them developed their business. So in her case, she moved to Hong Kong at the age of 14. She was working as a factory worker during the days and studying at night. Really hardcore worker. She moved to the UK where she did her bachelor's and then her master's in Cambridge University. After that, she had a very successful career going to the United States. She worked for multiple multinational companies like Goldman Sachs. But they went back to China with her husband, and she started Soho China, which had a tremendous success. At their initial public offering at the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 2007, they raised $1.7 billion as funding. She is still the name behind the skyline of Beijing. So a lot of the really iconic real estate buildings and office buildings in Beijing are built by Soho China. Number 13, Judie Faulkner. So Judie Faulkner is a company founder, interestingly from the technology. So she's a Silicon Valley type of founder, very similar to Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. She's kind of also from their generation, more or less. She's in her 70s now, a bit older. She's into healthcare software, a company called Epic. Epic provides databases for medical records for private health companies. And at the moment, it's estimated they own the databases for half of the US population. It's still a privately owned company, and she is still the founder and the CEO. Which is really, really remarkable. As you can see, a lot of the cases from the list are actually publicly owned companies. She believes that she does not want to go public because of the way she wants to run the company, to focus more on the best of her clients rather than on short-term financial gains. Giuliana Benetton. So you probably heard about this brand, and finally we get a woman from fashion industry into this list. It's surprising how women are the biggest buyers of fashion, but not so many actually are founders of fashion companies. So she, with her brothers, she's from Italy. So Benetton is a typical Italian name for North Italy near Venice. It doesn't sound very Italian, but actually there are a lot of families with that type of surnames there. They started in the 1950s. She was knitting sweaters. Her brothers were selling the sweaters. So really brick and mortar family, small business, which grew into this multinational, huge company. They were really famous with their controversial advertisement. Now, because of the huge competition of Zara and Mango and etc., they have slowed down a little bit on the controversy in their advertising, and they go more towards diversity and inclusion type of advertising. Still, they own several very lovely brands like Sisley, Playlife. Next one in the list is a lady called Yajun. She is another Chinese entrepreneur, another real estate billionaire. She's in her 50s now, 51-year-old, and worth $2.8 billion. She is the founder of a real estate company called Longfor Properties. And she started as an engineer herself in her hometown, China. She didn't study abroad. She developed all the business in China. She was also working in the 80s as a journalist, reporting. And she started her own business after actually bad experience buying an apartment. So together with her husband, they started a home building company, which later became Longfor Properties. At the moment the company is publicly traded. It received $900 million investment at its initial public offering on Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Wu is still the owner of the company. She divorced her husband recently, and she still has about 42% stake in the companies. Number 8. This one you have heard of. This is Oprah Winfrey, the famous Oprah Winfrey. She was born in a very poor background. She was an orphan in Mississippi, the South States, dealing with child abuse, dealing with foster homes, dealing with a lot of adversity when she grew up. She started her own TV show in the 1980s. She's been since then extremely successful. She has multiple businesses that she's looking after, including a movie that she had recently nominated for Oscar. She has a company called Harpo Productions, which is standing behind the Oprah Winfrey TV show, as well as her other projects that she's looking after. She has actually a great book which I can recommend you to look at. It is What I Know for Sure, so it's a lot about her philosophy. It's interesting that a lot of the ladies from this list are actually not such famous media personalities like you would expect the Kardashians and some other famous ladies. But however, the highly richest women from this list are not so much into the media except for Oprah. Number 7, this one you've probably heard of as well. This is Sheryl Sandberg, another Silicon Valley lady, which is at the moment the chief operating officer of Facebook, as well as used to be a CEO of Google. She is very much a legend in the Silicon Valley. Very powerful lady. If you read her book Lean In, you will know what I'm talking about. She's a huge advocate about women in business, women taking place at the table, being empowered by men, breaking stereotypes, women having their families and also business. So she herself is not a founder, but she has become rich by working in companies. She's a Harvard MBA grad, but unlike a lot of Harvard MBA grads, she had a spectacular career. She started from Google when Google wasn't that big of a deal. Then she moved into Facebook in 2008. Since then she's been with Facebook, sticking up with them, taking all the crap after Cambridge Analytica. But she's really an example of a lady that's very stubborn, very hardcore worker, and very iconic, I would say, like a very good reputation wherever she joined. Number 6, Doris Fisher. Doris Fisher is another American legend. She is the founder of Gap Jeans, again a fashion brand. She and her husband actually founded the jeans company in San Francisco in the 1960s after allegedly not being able to find good jeans that fitted her husband. And out of personal frustration, they started the store. The store has been one of the household brands, really. Everybody knows Gap. They provide these cheap, affordable jeans that fit in very well. And who doesn't own a pair of jeans from Gap, seriously? Number 5, Meg Whitman. Meg Whitman is famous as the CEO of eBay. So she took eBay as a CEO in 1998. When she left 10 years later, 2008, she took the company from $5.7 million in sales to $8 billion in sales. She herself is worth $3.8 billion. Very powerful lady, very big reputation in the Silicon Valley. At the moment, she is a CEO of another company that you've probably not heard of yet, but you're about to find out soon. It's called Quibi. So Quibi is a video sharing platform, kind of like a video social media for really short, really high quality videos and entertainment. And it's about to launch actually this April, so it's scheduled on the website and it's coming up April 6th. Interesting fact is that she took the company in 2018 as a CEO, and since then the company has been able to raise another $1 billion in funding just due to her great reputation in the industry. So very curious about this new company, looking forward to April. Number 4, Pollyanna Chu. Pollyanna Chu is another Chinese business lady. She is worth $4.9 billion. She immigrated to the United States. She studied there. She met her husband there. And they started a business with property in San Francisco. However, her father-in-law advised them to come back to China and take advantage of the booming industry there. And this is what they did. So they actually started a financial company without having much knowledge about finance, and found a niche about IPOs, initial public offerings of companies and startups that are going to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange when they're first collecting funding, as well as mergers and acquisitions. So when companies are acquired by other companies. So they crafted their name there. Their company is called Kingston Financial Group Limited. still privately owned. Kingston is the name of her son. He's also working for the company. Actually, if you check their website, you can see it's her husband, and her son who are kind of the chief roles, and still owning the company privately. Number 3 is Leiwa, another Chinese celebrity, a Chinese business celebrity, I would say. She is in her 70s, 74-year-old, and she is founder of Fuwa International. It's another real estate business. Surprise, surprise, seems to all the Chinese ladies made their money in real estate except for Pollyanna Chu. Interesting that about Leiwa is that she is a descendant of the last emperor family. So the ruling Chinese dynasty before the arrival of the communism, which is very interesting. If you have watched the movie The Last Emperor, you will learn a little bit about how they were dealt with and the history around this. The truth is that they've lost pretty much everything that they had. They were this aristocratic family that's been ruling centuries over China. They were kicked out of their home, of their palace. And they were forced to work and to live as any other man at that time. It was a very difficult time during the Cultural Revolution in China. You can read a little bit more about this time. But this lady was very entrepreneurial. So in the 1970s, she founded a furniture factory, which she worked herself in. She had employees. And she built this business, and in the 1980s, 1988 actually, she founded Fuwa International, which is a real estate company. They own a lot of hotels, resorts, luxury property, luxury apartments, office space, as well as shopping mall in China. So very interesting story. Number 2, Dianne Hendricks. This is an American entrepreneur lady. She is worth $5.6 billion. She's a 69-year-old mother of 7 children. She and her husband founded a company called ABC Supply & Co. And that was in the 1980s. The company offers building supplies and especially roofing. So doesn't sound super exciting, but their company is really, really huge. With more than 600 locations where they offered roofing and over 6.5 billion in sales. So this lady actually comes from a very normal background. She's not from a rich family. She was a daughter of dairy farmers from Wisconsin, and at the moment is one of the richest. Actually, yeah, number 2 or number 1 on the Forbes list. So if you look at American ladies, she is number 1. If you look internationally, she is number 2. And who is number 1? And drum roll, number 1 in the list is another Chinese entrepreneur. This is Zhou Qunfei. However, she is not in real estate. So she is a very interesting story, actually. She started working at the age of 16 as a factory worker in a lens factory in China. And in 1993, she opened her own lens shop. She managed to save some money from her salary as a worker. About $3,000 allegedly she had, which she founded her own shop with. And one of the big breakthroughs came in 2003 when Motorola approached her to design a glass screen for their phone, which she did, and this provided her with a lot of credibility in the phone industry. Later on in 2007, Apple approached her for designing a touch screen with a keyboard, the first keyboard touch screen for the iPhone. And of course, this is a pivotal moment in history. This is where her skills and technology that her company offered came into great purpose, and she went into the billionaire line. Actually, that was the biggest breakthrough. So touchscreens and iPhones made this lady a billionaire. She's a 46-year-old, quite young compared to the rest of the list. And her biggest clients are Apple and Samsung. Maybe she's quite affected from the coronavirus outbreak right now, as well as all these suppliers of technology. But still a really fantastic story where deserved the first place in the list. Thanks so much for watching so far. Because you made it to this part of the video, here is your bonus content. There are two ladies which are very rich and I did not include in this list. One of them is Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes is also the youngest. She's 32-year-old, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, technology entrepreneur. She owns a company called Theranos. So Theranos produces blood testing without needle, without any pain. And she became really a phenomenon. Her company is estimated to be worth $10 billion. She herself is worth $4.5 billion. Obviously, probably she has about 45% stake in the company. There's a lot of practices that the company is under scrutiny about. So mainly the accuracy of their tests and also her work to actually make legislation in Arizona for patients to request blood tests without the prescription of a doctor, so that she can actually sell more tests. Just felt that this is not a great example of ethical. Of course, many of these companies might have also other unethical things around them, but I just found that this case was not worth mentioning on the list, even though this lady is quite wealthy. Someone else who didn't make it on this list is a lady called Jin Sook Chang. She is an American entrepreneur. She and her family are Korean immigrants, first generation Korean immigrants in the United States. And she herself founded a company called Forever 21. And as you know, Forever 21 went bust last year. It used to be this amazing success story, a really owned family business, entrepreneurs, immigrants from South Korea who make it big in the United States. They were with a lot of allegations, especially for copyright infringing, sexist t-shirts, all kind of things. But last year they went essentially bust. So she's out of the Forbes list. It seems that being sold, so several buyers were able to save the company. However, she's no longer owning it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if there is any example of other women that I haven't mentioned in the list, and I would be very interested to know more. Let me know in the comments also if you want to hear more such videos, if this is something that you're interested in, and I'll make some more of these. Thanks so much for watching.